Good morning. Morning has broken. And here we are, your consecrated hosts, Father Jeff, Holy Orders.
Jonathan, Baptism.
How's it going?
Good.
It's been a long time since I've seen you.
It has, but I can get used to this weather.
I don't know what to do with you. First it's too cold, then it's too hot, and then it's like I miss Texas, and where's the humidity?
I have never said that it's too hot.
And what? I thought you didn't like the cold.
I don't like the cold. I've never said it's not too hot.
Oh.
I've said it's not too, and that it's too cold.
Jonathan,
the mornings, if the mornings wanted to raise up a little bit, I'd be great with that.
I would too.
But the afternoons this last week
has been a delightful. Yeah, I like fall. I like early fall. Much better than winter. I still like early summer. That's like the most delightful time. It's the best time of the year. Mm-hmm. Early summer.
But
the sun is shining.
You get to enjoy the weekend outside where it's warm, but not too warm.
Nice.
You can be active and not.
You don't need to bundle up. I hate having to bundle up. I need to put all my. Yeah, that's the part I don't like. I like the Four Seasons, but. You do anything exciting this weekend? Because this is my first day of the week, and it's ours too. We're not on Monday.
We're not on Monday.
Yeah. I didn't really do much.
I
have a boring life.
Well, I mean...
I really do.
I didn't want to say anything, but now that you've come out and said it...
It's been a kind of quiet, I know. Yeah. I like that. I like quiet, though.
We had some people over on Saturday.
Nice.
Kind of a... Just... It's a thing.
Hangout time?
Yeah.
Breaking in the new house?
Breaking in the new house.
I noticed those people weren't me.
You're right.
Alrighty then.
But yeah, it was a good weekend. Mass Sunday.
Yeah, we started that Sunday evening Mass up again. Good to see some people there and maybe kind of pulling off of the other Masses so that we're even more equally, not equally, but just distribute the population a little bit.
That's good that we have enough people coming back that we could offer another Mass that weren't
right. It kind of gets back to normal. Kind of gets normal. Will we ever be back to normal? Probably not.
Probably not, because you go and switch everything around in the sanctuary.
I know. If you were at Mass this weekend, or if you were watching it on the live stream, you were wondering if something happened and the mirrors got flipped or whatever. But we did. We moved the chairs and the ambo to the other side of the sanctuary.
That's good, because
primarily just because. Okay, it all started with the social distancing, spreading all of the chairs out in the sanctuary. So the priest and the deacon's chair moved down kind of forward. Mm-hmm. The servers were spread out in the background. But then doing that, the way our church is set up, there's all these pews behind me. So I'm doing this 270-degree turn business sort of thing. Or my back is to them. Even when the chairs were in their normal spot, the chairs were so far back and behind the altar, and you felt very, very far away.
Yeah, because last week we were messing with them, trying to figure out what the best position would be, and when you put them back to where they were,
whoa, this is far away.
It was really far away, and I was in the first pew trying to gauge it, and so
I liked the chairs up closer to, not behind the altar, so far away. Number two, once they're closer, it makes sense to put the chairs on the other side of the sanctuary because the only people behind me then are the musicians, and then they have a clearer shot of what's going on, and no one is sitting behind me, and I can just talk to people with just, what's that? Swiveling my head.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So it's practical. It feels weird though, because I want to turn this way. I'm like, oh, I'm going to run into a deacon if I go that way. I need to go this way. You just feel like you're going to fall off the steps. It is amazing how you can. It just discombobulates you just enough. So I hope you weren't discombobulated if you were joining us on live stream, or if you showed up and didn't read your emails to know that this was going to be a thing when you came to church, or if you thought we were kidding. We weren't. Oh, but anyway, today's Tuesday, October 6th. We've got a
6th.
lineup of saints.
Really?
Lineup. So today, the 6th, let's see if I can get this all right. Saint Bruno, he was the founder of the Carthusians.
Monks?
They're hard hitters in the Benedictine tradition, I think, monastic. And there it goes.
It was really, you said hard hitter, so it's
It was exactly.
Okay.
He was known for his hermetic, ascetical life. They tried to make him a bishop many times, and he constantly refused. There's this great statue in St. Peter's Basilica of St. Bruno, and he's standing there, and there's this little angel who's like trying to hand him the bishop's hat and crozier and everything, and he's like, "Oh no, get that away from me!" And he's eschewing it. So he's today. Also today is Blessed Marie Rose Durocher. Durocher. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's Frenchish.
Yeah, Blessed Marie Durocher.
Rose Durocher. Let's just say Durocher.
Durocher.
She was a Canadian, so it's probably Quebecois or something like that.
Oh.
So yeah, we got someone on this side of the pond. And she founded a religious order, and I think was teaching sisters, and I don't know a whole lot about her, I'm sorry. And I didn't do my homework, apparently.
But a Canadian saint. That's
a Canadian
cool.
saint. Blessed. She's a blessed.
Blessed.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean...
Yesterday was significant. And if you went to Mass or watched a live stream of Mass or looking in your booklets or whatnot, yesterday was the first time Saint Faustina Kowalska has been elevated to the general Roman calendar.
Wow.
So she's added to the Missal. She was canonized by John Paul II. Mm-hmm. And just this past May, I think, so only a few months ago, Pope Francis inserted her into the universal calendar of the Roman Church.
So October 5th?
October 5th is her feast day. It's an optional memorial. So there's also Blessed Francis Seelos, who was a priest, I think, down there in Louisiana. And an American blessed.
Wow.
So this is a week of all kinds of people vying for a spot.
On a Sunday, would that optional memorial... The Sunday always trumps, right?
Yeah, because Sunday was October 4th, which was the feast of St. Francis of Assisi.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that was a memorial. So that disappeared, and the Sunday celebration took over. So we blessed, I guess on Saturday we blessed animals.
You guess?
I guess, yeah.
Were you there, Father John?
Yeah, well, I was thinking, I did nothing this weekend. Oh, wait, I guess we did do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, back on Saturday, we anticipated the St. Francis Day, and we did the annual blessing of animals. So people are bringing their cats and their dogs and their kids, I suppose. And
I didn't bring any kids.
Well, you didn't bring any pets either.
I don't have any.
Pets? No pets. 3 kids enough. So yeah, St. Francis kind of he got covered up by
Sundays take priority.
Yeah, unless you were in a place where St. Francis would have been the principal feast. So the Archdiocese of San Francisco.
Oh.
That would be the titular saint. So there would have been a solemnity. So they would have celebrated St. Francis instead of ordinary time Sunday.
Got it. Same with St. Francis, Assisi Parish, if there is
exactly. One. Yeah. If you had a parish, then that becomes your titular saint. The title of your parish is that saint, and so that becomes a solemnity, which outranks ordinary. Is a complicated mess. But anyway, all of these saints, you kind of have a devotion to Kowalska.
I do. Yeah. Her Diary of St. Faustina was really instrumental in the intensifying of my faith. It was really at that point where it was just really solidified that for me, in order to live my faith out, it is all or nothing. If I am just halfway doing it, it just falls apart. And if I approach anything, it is hard, direct. But it's just.
She was an inspiring.
It was just, and just her experiences with Jesus were very intense. Because they were so real. I mean, being a mystic and all those great things.
Yeah. She was the early 20th century, so about 100-ish years ago.
Yeah.
Like, she would have been alive at this time 100 years ago, I think. Which is kind of crazy. You think when you're younger, 100 years sounds like so long. But now that I'm older and almost half 100 years doesn't seem so long. It's like, only 100 years ago.
I'm barely a third of the way there, so...
Hush. Nobody likes you, Jonathan. We're going to move on to...
That person likes me. The one.
We're going to move on. C.S. Lewis, The Screwtape Letters.
Chapter
24. 24. So we're continuing on with trying to figure out a way to overcome this man who has... Now, he's found this girl. She for the most part, is a good influence on him. Growing in spirituality. Last time, if you remember from last week, kind of the temptation was, well, let's just try to attach his Christianity to something of the world and like make it, of the world or make it less spiritual and more worldly oriented, all that kind of stuff. We kind of keep going down this path now. We're trying to find a way to derail this guy's Christianity and to get under this blanket of grace that seems to have fallen down upon him.
How can we get in?
I don't know. It's too hard.
Wormwood seems to know.
He does not. Screwtape has an idea.
Screwtape. I'm reading Wormwood.
Wormwood is the one who's learning. So Screwtape, he says, okay, so we got a hold of... my goodness, I think I got breakfast on my shirt.
Oh, Father
Jeff. What that's all about.
That's why we can't go anywhere nice.
I didn't even shave today. I haven't put my collar back on yet. It's like...
You're letting yourself go. Your day off is over, Father Jeff.
I know. I was kind of clinging to it. Sorry.
I could go. If you want to give us 3-day weekends, I am all for it.
No. Only if I can have a 3-day weekend.
You know what, though? Doing everything we have to do in the 4 days then would be... It's hard to do it in 3 days, so...
Yeah, I know.
Back to this...
Back to Slim Trippet. Trumpet. Slum Trippet.
Slum Trumpet.
Slum Trumpet. Slim Trumpet. Slum Trippet is the tempting angel for this girl now that this Englishman has found. So it's like, okay, what do you know about her? What are her weaknesses? Because, come on. No matter how holy or saintly you are, you're tainted by original sin.
You're not the Virgin Mary.
Nope. You're not the Virgin Mary, just in case you didn't know. That you're going to have something that's your button to push. So what have we found out about this girl? Well, she has grown up in an intelligent circle united by a clearly defined belief. And so she's kind of, in other words, she's been sheltered. She's kind of grown up in this sheltered lifestyle. Hasn't had a whole lot of experience with people outside those who are very like her. And so she has a hard time imagining anything not like what she's experienced. I mean, they even say, like the fish knives. I don't even own fish knives. Do you own fish knives, Jonathan? Nope. Maybe in your fancy silver set you've got a set of fish knives, but I do not. I know what they look like, and she thinks that, well, of course, everyone's fish knives are exactly like this. And then she goes over to someone else's house, and they serve her fish and put this other knife in front of her, and she's like, that's not a real fish knife. So basically, I mean, it doesn't seem very big.
It's kind of an innocence in some ways.
A naivete.
Naivete.
It's just like she's a little naive, and she hasn't been exposed to the stuff. Someone who I know is part of the homeschool community. They were making some comment, and they were talking about homeschool, and they said, "Oh no. There's homeschool, and then there's homeschool." And it's like, what they mean by that. It's like there's people who are homeschooled, and they're normal. I don't know if the, I don't
you
want
wouldn't
be
be able to
offensive to
necessarily
anyone here.
tell.
Yeah,
that they're
very, outgoing and engaged. And then there's those that do seem so sheltered that you're so homeschooled that maybe you crawled out of a compound in the middle of Montana. And it's like that, then it's like, wow, how do you engage anyone in the greater world?
Yeah.
And this is this girl. So it seems like she's very nice, she's very holy, but boy, is she sheltered. So that is both a strength and a weakness.
Right.
And so that's where this one wants to, that's the chink in the armor. And I think those are the words he uses. This is, we found it. This is how we're going to get there. So, we want this, there are two kinds of people then, when it comes to kind of having everything figured out. Either you feel like you're the novice. You don't know anything. Like, I'm new to the party. I don't know anything. Or you've so been a part of it for so long that you've almost stopped seeing things the way they are, and you have created all of these, I don't know, layers, accretions, extras. You're just almost too smooth and refined. Does that make sense?
A little bit.
Okay. That's what he's trying to describe. Think about it as, like when you're the freshman in high school, you're the low man on the totem pole, you know nothing, and you just have to try to absorb everything lest you become the butt of everyone's joke.
Right.
As opposed to the senior who now, you know everything, and you just know how to move and...
Rules the roost.
Exactly.
I don't even know how that came about. Rules the roost.
The rooster rules the roost.
But what is the roost?
The place where the rooster roosts. The place where the chickens hang out. The roost. The little house there. With the
Is
little
that called a roost?
Why not? I'm calling it a roost. And if it's not, it is now.
Good enough for me.
Let it be done.
All right.
So rules the roost. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You run you feel like you run the place almost. You're very comfortable.
Exactly, and you don't even now bother with some of the
lowly freshmen
and all of the stuff that has to be done because someone else is going to take care of that. So those are these two kinds that this is the danger now that you can fall into. Screwtape says the novice always exaggerates. Because you want to make yourself known. You want to...
Yeah.
I want to be seen. Look at me.
Lots of energy. Lots of excitement.
Yeah. Pick me. Look at what I can do. The man who has risen in society is over-refined. The young scholar is pedantic. Just kind of over everyone's head. And... It's like the Charlie Brown. We should do the rest of the show in Charlie Brown speak.
And we'll do all
Good grief. That's also...
That's a Snoopy noise.
It is. Okay, so basically now what we want to do with this guy is, since he's still kind of sort of newly Christian, but he's been strengthened in his Christian relationship with this girl, he still hangs out with this kind of worldly set, if you remember, that he kind of is, he falls in all of these categories. So he's a novice Christian, but he's more Christian than his other friends. And so what Screwtape proposes is, let's take the venial, and he's also encouraging all of this through this girl.
Right.
Let's take what could have been a venial sin in her and blow it up to become the strongest and most beautiful of vices, spiritual pride. What do you think that is? I mean, pride, I think we have a sense of that. But spiritual pride.
I mean, I think it's tough to... Because I think we could all fall into it of just...
Oh, absolutely.
Where we know more, or we are more, we're more faithful, or more,
holier than thou.
Holier, yeah.
Holier than thou.
And maybe we never think of it, because if we already ever thought of ourselves as holier than thou, we'd be like, okay, that's stupid. And so that's probably what Screwtape is getting at some points, and this is just like, don't let them be aware of it, but you make that judgment of, oh, that person's not as holy as I am.
Yeah.
Or if only they did this, then they'd understand where I'm coming from.
I have an insight that they haven't found yet.
Yeah.
I've discovered some, and he talks about here that in the circle of friends in which he finds himself, he is tempted to be proud for many reasons other than its Christianity. And so he can think himself better educated or more intelligent or this, that, and the other thing. And there's a pride, and I guess spiritual pride has the same effect as blowing things out of proportion. You don't see things as they are. Mm-hmm. So either you feel yourself less than you are or more than you are. And spiritual pride can be that holier than thou, that they don't know what I know, they haven't discovered what I've discovered, and that can begin to set up barriers.
Not in this instance, but in another, you talked about talking about less than. Would it also work in, I could never be as holy as that person?
Yes, where you create that false dichotomy or that false distance between. Yeah, I think so.
Then that's, it's the litany of humility. One of the toughest ones. I mean, the litany of humility is a real gut punch, but one of it is that others may be holier than I. Granted, I become as holy as I ought.
Right. That's a weird. It is a little bit of a weird prayer to pray. I remember praying it for a while when I was in seminary. For a while. And then I got as humble as I was ever going to get and said, all right, I'm done with that one. Let's just move on to the next thing.
But yeah, to make it the holiness, if anybody, because you were a priest, to limit my holiness, saying, I could never be as holy as Father Jeff.
You better be more holy than I am.
Is really, or is someone saying it about me or anybody, to limit the holiness you can attain is really limiting God's grace working in your life and like limiting your openness to receiving that and to change. Because that you can become as holy. God wants you to be the holiest of holy people ever.
I was just thinking about that the other day, and I don't remember what exactly I was thinking about. I was having one of these imaginary conversations in my mind. Do you ever do that where you were talking to someone and then I never said what I really wanted to say, and then later on
afterwards
afterwards you're kind of having that conversation because it was I didn't really say what I wanted to say, or it didn't come out right, and I was just kind of thinking about, and that was one of the points that I was making to the other person, to myself in my head. If that makes sense. That if we ever get to that point where we're no longer changing or have the ability to change, then we've stopped becoming a Christian, or we've stopped going where we're supposed to go. That we constantly have to be. We can never be settled.
No. To live a Christian life means to constantly be changing in pursuit of growth and holiness, and
we're never going to get it here.
No.
And so there's always room to grow.
Yeah.
There's always another step to take, and that's the way it should be
until we're in heaven.
And even then, it's a different way. But even in heaven, it is an eternal deepening.
Right. Because God's love and Godness.
There's no limit.
There's no limit.
Yeah,
it's infinite.
It blows your mind. Don't go too far down. But that's,
you might start talking to yourself and having these conversations with yourself.
You might start having conversation. That's why it's good to have a dog around the house, because you don't really have to talk to yourself. You can just talk to your dog. Staples knows all about what it means to keep changing. Okay, so here's your chance. Let's move on. This is where it happened. But God now takes all of these people, and he just keeps, he's all, whether it's sexual love and this being in this circle, blah 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 blah. He's talking all about this, and what he wants to do is he wants to kind of be attached, but not really attached. Like and I think we've all had that experience where I want to be a part of things, but we find ourselves then maybe stretching ourselves too much. What am I really attached to? Mm-hmm. And am I able then to invest myself in that? And do I even know then what I'm talking about? And do I feel then insecure? And the foundation starts to tumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I read here. Maybe you read something different. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Basically, what he wants to have happen is what we were talking about before, where this girl grew up in a house of kind of sheltered. Mm-hmm. Now we want to expand this girl and this patient out into a larger set that have different, a little different, and they do things a little differently, and we want to highlight the differences.
Yes.
Look at how different I, as a Christian, am, or how us Christians really ought to be, and whether it's about our Christianity or whether it's just about the people that we hang out. I hang out with a group of people that would never do those sorts of things, or would never think those sorts of things, or whatever. So we really do begin to create these divisions, these differences, and the air of superiority.
Yeah.
And that is something that even in the current climate of where we are in society, if we can highlight those differences and start saying, well, the people I hang out with, my group, whatever, doesn't think like them, or rather the other way around. What ignorant, backwards people, mm-hmm. because they're not educated, or they haven't had the experiences, or they're from some small backwater place, or whatever.
Look at how we live our faith out.
Yes.
Except for those, commonplace people.
Right. Yeah. Again, it's the holier than thou thing without realizing you're being holier than thou. And I've had a lot that this will come up sometimes in counseling, conversations, or in confession, when Father, how do I deal with someone who thinks differently, or is living in sin in some way, shape, or form? What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do, to convince them otherwise? And then the line will come, well, I guess I can just pray for them.
Oh, no.
And that's okay.
It's good to pray for people.
Yes. But that also then sets you in a place where you see yourself as being superior to this other person who is less enlightened than you are, less converted than you are, and perhaps then less holy than I am.
I pray that they come to the understanding that I have.
Exactly. I mean, and they may need conversion.
We all do.
A grandma sees her granddaughter and fiance living together before marriage, and it bothers her, and I can just pray for them. Well, yes, you really should pray for them. But there's also something non-relational and superior about that. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not engaging them, and I'm not saying you have to go, giving them talking to. But sometimes I guess the situation is such that maybe when someone's actions or words or thoughts bother me, maybe I need to pray, not for them, well, for them, but I also need to pray for myself.
It's more of a me thing.
That's the thing.
It was, Genevieve had a great example. At some point in her life, in case anybody's watching, I'll leave it vague. It was the way someone prayed the rosary. And this, I don't remember the details, but it was maybe the way they said a certain prayer or something like that. possibly bothered her, or someone told them it bothered her, something along those lines.
Okay.
The person was praying faithfully. They weren't doing anything wrong, but it bothered them. And it's like, well, that's not how you're supposed to pray it. So is that their problem or your problem because you can't just deal with it?
It's like those clickbaits that you see on whatever. It's like, you've probably been hand sanitizing your hands all wrong this whole time. You've been eating a banana all wrong this whole time. You've been drinking coffee all wrong this whole. You've been breathing air all wrong this whole time. And it's like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's the same thing.
And it's more of, maybe I need to look at myself.
Yes.
And be more, accepting. Obviously, like the example you used of a grandma. But then sometimes
there is something to pray for.
We're praying for the wrong things too. In that situation, instead of praying that they stop living together, pray that they come to know Jesus more.
A conversion. And yeah.
Because once the changing that action doesn't really do much for their life. I mean, it could do some things for their life.
Right.
But if they have a conversion, not only will that change, so much more will change.
If I'm bothered by something that you do or say, I need to ask myself, why am I bothered by that? Mm-hmm. And maybe there's something in me that needs to be healed, that outward external thing could cause such lack of peace or unrest in me. And there's something here. So, yes, pray for those who are going astray or who have gone astray or whatever. But also then flip that prayer back on yourself and say, there's probably something in here that needs to be prayed for too. It's kind of like, when you point at someone, it's one finger pointing to them and 3 fingers pointing back at you. Okay, I'm going to pray for you, but then I'm going to pray 3 times for me because there's something I need to get over. So that's good advice. I give good advice, Jonathan.
Well,
every once in a while.
Usually, a broken clock is right even twice a day. But we found in our office we had a broken clock that would reset itself multiple times a day.
Crazy atomic clocks, and it was doing its own thing. And you'd walk into the conference room, and it would just be going around and around in circles. So you couldn't even count on it being right twice a day.
No, it was.
So let's sum this up. The great thing, he says, is to make Christianity a mystery religion in which he feels himself one of the initiates. So, you can either... Christianity is a mystery religion in the sense that you really can never understand it, can never have a grasp of it, can never possess it, can never know it. And you feel yourself then one of the initiates, and so you're inadequate. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to help someone else come to faith. I don't know how to get myself to faith. And you can, so it's that spiritual pride in its opposite. Like you try to get away from spiritual pride and you end up here. When you start to critique your own spirituality, it gets dangerous. Mm-hmm. And I think we've said that before here. Teresa of Avila, don't do it. Lord, don't show me where I am on my journey. Because as soon as I know how far I've progressed, I am going to fall that distance and perhaps further than I was. So just keep me in the dark.
Just let me know I need to grow.
Let me know I need to. It's like a poem. The air of superiority. That's what I called mine.
Spiritual pride equals spiritual death.
That works too. I'm not going to lie to you, that wasn't my most favorite chapter.
After all of that.
So, in fact, if you listen to that, or if I would play it back and watch it again, I'd probably say, what the heck are you talking about? That's not what it says. It says something else. So don't quote me on any of that. Let's just put letter 24 over there somewhere.
Spiritual pride bad.
That's right. God good. All right.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
See you tomorrow. Bye.